I'm going to record this so this way it'll go on my website. And anybody who wants to tune in can, which will be okay.
Hmm.
Uh, just a difficult time. My dog is at a point where I may have to put her down. So
Oh,
been a lot of issues with that. Nothing
I,
pleasant. But in any event, how's everything on your side? How's the shop coming along?
yeah, things are good here, and they're getting better day by day.
Okay.
The good thing is that the products are making their way to the new people. So, when entering a new market, the most important thing for me was to have a product acceptance.
Right.
To be able to, convince people that either we are offering something better or something more valuable.
Yeah. I mean, certainly when it comes to ink, which is the most consumed product,
Yeah.
um, quality is certainly part of it. Price is part of it. Customer service and availability is part of it.
Mm.
And if you can put all of those things together, then you have a chance of really moving forward appropriately. Um, Otherwise, I'm afraid that some of the bigger companies with the bigger names are going to just eat it up.
I am quite aware of that, and I was before we entered with the manufacturing plant in this area, we were very concerned about this too, that it's going to be a new space and new thing. Let's see how it ends up. But the only thing that was good for us that we had confidence because we were before starting this plant, we were bringing in the product here for the
Yep.
past 8 years now, and it had a reasonable acceptance. But the only issue we were having was to scale up.
Yeah.
We had a few customers, who would order large quantities, who can wait for the lead time and all those things, but not everybody can do that. So we
Correct.
had an idea that yes, it's going to be tough. It's more tough convincing the smaller units as compared to the bigger ones.
Yeah. You know, getting into a big one is always a challenge, but once you're in, you're usually pretty good.
Yeah,
Handling the smaller companies is definitely on a different scale.
yeah,
They buy shorter. They um, don't do their homework, so they call up in desperation because they're out or they're about to run out of a product. It's not like, oh, not a problem. If it takes a week, it's okay. It's like, no, they can't wait more than overnight half the time.
yeah.
So,
Been facing that here as well, with a lot of people who plan ahead of time, and a lot of people who are there who require instant assistance.
yeah.
I guess that's a part of work for us right now because we are new here as a manufacturer and we are making space. The market has been supportive. The people has been supportive. They have been comparing our products with the bigger names in already established in the market. So there is some sort of monopoly in this, I would say, segment of business. But when they compare and they see the products are comparable and there is another person or another guy bringing in the product, so they're quite supportive. So that's something that's keeping us going.
So is BNI Inc. the only manufacturer of plastisol ink in Canada?
No, there are a few more.
Oh
There
yeah,
are
you have. I'm sorry. Yeah, you have Excalibur.
There is Excalibur. There is one more in Ontario, I guess, but that one got recently sold. FH Inks.
Don't know
Uh,
them at all. I'm
yeah,
familiar with Excalibur. Excalibur made a big push a number of years ago to come into the U.S. market
yep,
and did a decent job. I forget his name. Jeff was the U.S. rep for them and
yep.
still is, as far as I know. Uh, they were actually making a lot more headway going overseas than I think they were in the U.S. Because when I was doing a lot of the shows overseas, they would always be there and they would have pretty strong representation. So,
Mhm.
but one of the guys who was heavily involved with them, I don't believe is anymore. I can't recall his name, but you, they've done some good marketing in the U.S.,
Mhm.
um, but I haven't heard them as far as making a lot of noise lately. Uh,
Yes, Excalibur had good products, and as you just said, I would agree to that. I have seen them making a good impression in the market, global market, even in Asia. When I was in
yeah,
Pakistan, I was looking at over there, and even in the US. But recently, after COVID, I would say, I haven't seen them as aggressive or as prominent in the market anymore. I don't know what happened, although they are there, but I don't know how things are going on with them.
yeah, I have, and you're right. Since COVID, I haven't really heard much at all about them.
Yeah.
Virtually nothing, and kind of surprised me. But yeah, I didn't give it a lot of thought, but in thinking back, I haven't seen them exhibit at a show or anything. So kind
Yeah.
of interesting to me. They used to exhibit quite a bit,
Yes.
and now it seems they're not exhibiting at all. So
Yes. I haven't seen them exhibiting in quite some time now. Yes, you're right.
yeah, I forget that I met with the owner a number of times over the years. I'm just terrible with names, so I can't recall what his name is. But
Yes, I think it was Jim. Jim, his name was Jim.
yes, yep, Jim. I don't recall last name, but nice
Yeah,
guy. Definitely made a big push for a while. But you're right. Um, I haven't heard them or seen from them in quite some time.
true, true, true. That's just yes about us. What we are focusing on right now is that we are mostly in the market focusing on whites and the black.
Well, white is 40% of the industry, so
Yeah,
certainly if you can get the white business, you've got a big chunk. You know, the purple is not going to do a whole lot for you.
that's what we focused on because what as you would agree that what I have seen is that we would take white to the people, and if they are happy with the white, if they have a good result with a good white, they would definitely, come along with the other products. But
Yeah.
doesn't matter how good of a red do you have, it doesn't matter if you don't have a good white.
No, the white is definitely the key to success. White, and the other one is gold. Yellow, gold.
Yes, yes, that's another one.
Those to me are the two strongest things. Of course, the white being primary. The black is important, but nobody really worries about how good or bad a black is.
True.
Um, they do. The white is absolutely the overriding champion.
Yeah.
Uh, Gold is right behind it, or yellow, depending on what shade you're working with. And after that, whatever. As long
Yeah.
as it's soft enough, as long as it is available, as long as it on the opacity level, as long as it has good opacity, they're fine with that. But yeah, white is king.
That's a lot of people ask us that are you doing mixing systems? Are you doing
Yeah,
PMS and all those? So I always tell them that no, we are not. We are focusing on white right now. Yes, we are doing standard colors like 254, golden yellow, 18, 14, whatever,
yeah.
but not specifically those softwares and fancy colors matching systems at this point.
Well,
Because,
yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead. I just say that because at this point it's important for us to, you know, convince the people that we have a good product, and you can only do that with a white, not with any other thing.
True, but for a lot of companies, they do need a Pantone matching system,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of work. It's a difficult process. Takes a lot of time, but without it, at a certain point, it'll come back and not be a very favorable thing.
We have a Pantone matching system that
Okay,
is established, but we deal that through our original plant in Asia. So we haven't introduced it quite yet over here because we haven't started up with those colors and softwares here right now. So
right.
it's something that we are lined up and we know when to just, just get it launched and bring it to the people. Just waiting for the right time on that. So, because yes, you cannot just leave one thing and have the other one. You gotta have the whole package.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely do. Once you establish yourself with enough companies, I guarantee you the next thing they're going to want to know is a color matching system
Yeah.
because they're going to have clients that do require, 485 red, etc. There are a handful of colors that always come up.
Mhm.
And even if you have them pre-mixed, sometimes they need the odd colors. So um, certainly what some of the ink companies do is they will do color matching for you specifically, or they'll have a color matching system.
Mhm.
And it's definitely one of the things that'll come into play. But,
Yeah.
without a doubt, to make it into a shop, you got to have a good white. You have to have
Yeah.
it good for cotton, poly cotton, and one for polyester.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry, performance fabric.
Yes.
No longer polyester. It drives me crazy, but okay. But those are really the key elements, and anything after that doesn't matter. Um, Marketing. How are you going to be? How are you doing your marketing now that you've established yourself in Canada?
In Canada, we are like in Ontario. It's us pushing ourselves along with a couple of salespeople that we have hired with us. They have joined us, you know,
Okay.
and for Quebec and other provinces of Canada, we are under discussion with a few distributors and so on for the US now.
Okay.
We have sent out the samples to a few distributors in New York and California, one in California, one in Houston. Whereas we are looking for more and more people. I will be traveling to US shortly. I was in US in New York last week. I will be traveling again just for this purpose of distribution setup. So we are trying to get to the people who would be interested in distributing this product. How can we get them, competitive with others that are in the market? How can we give them an advantage and to discuss all these things? So yes, we are trying to, get to these distributors, try and set up some meetings with them, try to convince them. So have just we have I've been able to work around with a few in New York, New Jersey, because that was the area I was initially working with. I was able to grab a few in California, but yeah, we are still looking for. I'm under discussion with a few people in Illinois, and looking all around the place because now we are in a position where we can easily maintain the supply and give a product that is acceptable to the market.
Yeah, I mean, for you to get to Illinois, it's very easy from where you are.
Yes.
Um, that's where I'm heading tomorrow is for that trade show. It's in the Chicago suburb.
Hmm.
And are you going to be doing any shows this year or?
We are planning on two shows this year. They're not yet confirmed, but it's in our plan list. One is being held in Montreal and one in Fort Worth. So, the Impressions Fort Worth.
Yep.
The, these two are the ones that we have planned, and then we plan on having a proper representation in ISS next year, Long Beach.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely that's obviously the show to be in.
Yes.
Um, it's always the strongest show. It's always the best attended show. Um, your chances of finding a distributor there are probably better than in most places.
True.
Again, you never know who's going to walk into your booth and who's not. That's the biggest problem in Long Beach is it's such a huge show
Mhm.
that no one has enough time to do everything.
True.
Where the Fort Worth show is considerably smaller,
Yes.
um, gives you a lot more time to talk to people,
True.
especially potential distributors. You know,
Also, in Long Beach, most of the times when you end the show, you figure out that, oh, there were a few more stalls that I haven't seen them. So
without a doubt. I mean, last year's show was crazy in size,
yeah,
and you know, it's both good and bad. The good is that everybody can walk around and see everything that they want. The bad thing is they don't get to spend enough time on companies that they're not familiar with, and
true.
definitely presents a problem as far as, especially for distributors. Many of them do exhibit there,
Mhm.
but they never leave their own booth. And
True.
so
True.
getting around and trying to talk to them, trying to um, make arrangements there, tough. I think the biggest thing you can do at that show is make arrangements to visit them after the show,
Yes.
where they actually have the time to spend and to um, talk to you about your product.
True. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, Fort Worth, you should have no trouble talking to anyone. Of course, there aren't going to be that many distributors you do. I guess the one that you might have a shot with is Reese. I don't know if you're familiar with Reese Supply.
Yes, resupplies. I have heard of them. Yes.
Um, they were using ink. They were working with Inkwin. I don't know if they still are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have GSG, and I doubt if you're going to be able to get into them. They're very much in tune with a handful with Wilflex and a handful of others, and I doubt if they're going to.
I checked out at GSV, but I think they have plenty on their plate right now.
They do, and I don't see them adding any more.
Yeah.
But Reese is definitely one that would be
Mm-hmm.
worth trying to talk to. I don't know what other who else do you have down there? You have Tech Source.
Yes, Tech Source. They are doing private labels and some brands too. Tech Source are
Yep.
in Texas, I guess, right?
Yeah, the other one is
There's
which
one called Atlas Supplies.
yeah, Atlas is out of Chicago,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure. I mean, that's certainly worth talking to. And you also have SPSI, but
Yes, there's one SPSI. River
yeah,
City here.
I think SPSI is going to be a difficult one. They are Rutland and they're international coatings,
Hmm.
and I haven't seen them pick up another ink brand. I know them well, and I've known them for probably 30 years, and I haven't seen them pick up a new ink. So I doubt if they're going to go Atlas. Maybe uh, there's a shot there. Um, Strange company, but nevertheless, they definitely make noise. I didn't realize that they were going to be exhibiting down in Fort Worth, though.
Hmm.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
just, you know, a game of trying to reach out to people and see how interested they are, and if they find value, if they're going to give it a try. See, one of the biggest problem is that 90% of the time what I have seen is that even if you are able to get attention from someone, they will get your sample. Probably out of courtesy they would say, oh, please send us the samples, but 90%, 80% of the times those samples are going to end up on the shelf.
Absolutely. I agree. When I had my supply house, I used
Yes.
to drop off samples, come back, ask them how it was. They had no idea. They needed white, they grabbed it, they used it. Did they really pay attention to it? No.
Yeah.
Unless they're in a desperate position and you happen to be there with the sample and they use it, you can actually watch it.
Yeah.
It's difficult to sell.
True. True.
Uh, and you have to know enough about your own product on how to make it look really good
Mm,
in terms of sampling. And so, especially on automatics, if they run it too fast, it may not be good, or if they run it too slow, it may not be good. And, if you gave them directions on the best way to use it, would they really pay attention? Not really. The
okay.
handful of companies that do understand it aren't the issue. It's the others. Of course, everybody wants to run their automatic as fast as they can. That doesn't necessarily give you the best laydown of white
Hmm.
ink being the big thing. And samples, you know, my own feeling about samples, I hate having to give them out
Hmm.
only because unless you're there to watch what they do with it, you'll never know if it was used appropriately or not.
I agree. I absolutely agree to that. 90% of the time you have to push a lot. You have
Yep.
to follow up a lot. And it's that fine line between getting the customer annoyed and getting them to test. So it's a difficult position to be in, but yes, I think that's the only way to move forward ahead.
Well, I mean that's a challenge. So besides white ink, and besides having all the other stuff, are you going to be doing anything with special effect inks? Are you going to be doing anything with water base discharge?
Yes, certainly. We have started sampling, initial samplings with discharge. We haven't
Oh,
gone into productions for water based.
okay.
So, because we have to, change some of our suppliers by
Oh,
being
absolutely. It's yeah.
so we are into the development phase of getting that result that we want out of the discharge, working out with a few shops here who are familiar with discharge. Yes, for plastisols we are already getting into the special effects now, like shimmers, metallics, high densities, fluorescent colors,
Yeah.
glow in the darks. So
Yeah.
these things with plastisols we are almost equipped with, and we are almost in production. Like if we have an inquiry, we are in a position to fulfill it. And after 6 months or so, we plan to start up with the water base as well.
Okay. Well, the big thing that I'm getting inquiries about, for whatever stupid reason, is puff ink.
Hmm.
Puff seems to be making a comeback, so to speak, after years and years of nobody knowing that it's around,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden everybody is discovering puff again, which I don't really consider a special effect ink, but I guess it might fall into that category.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm always amazed with what comes and goes, and at what point. I think the last time puff was actually around, it's got to be about 15 years ago. And
I think this puff actually made a little bit of a noise now because few people reintroduced it in the transfer industry.
yeah,
I
I mean,
see that that's where the puff, and I also see it on the trade shows that people are going crazy looking at puff. That, oh, what new is this? I believe that it might have something to do with puff getting back into the.
well, I think the big thing with puff is, as opposed to high density, they don't need to have a special stencil for it. So
Yeah,
if they go through a coarse mesh and do the artwork correctly, they'll get results out of it. Where with high density, they need to go with a high density film if they really want to get it to the point where it's uh, doing what you would hope it would do.
yeah.
You can't do it. I mean, you can attempt to do it with wet coating, but it takes a full day to prepare a screen, which I think is ridiculous. But um,
So
that's the whole thing with high density. I love this stuff, but it's an expensive proposition, not only the ink, but the stencil and the whole process. Where puff is relatively inexpensive. I mean, the ink is what, cost of the ink is what it is, but they don't need to do anything special about it.
yes, yes, you're right. High density is as good as it looks, but it's not easy to, get it printed in, and especially when you're doing bulk productions. I have seen that in Asia there, they would use tables and multiple screens and transfers of high density. That was the only way to get the productions out of high density. Just
Yeah.
running an octopus machine and, you know, having high density on an octopus, I think is a real challenge.
Well, if you know what you're doing, it's great. If you don't know what you're doing, you can definitely go through a lot of money very quickly.
Yeah,
And yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, nowadays, um, it isn't what it used to be on high density. I mean, there was a time where it was a big thing and everybody was trying it. Right now, um, most of the companies just don't know how to make the stencil correctly. And so the idea of spending, $40 for a sheet of capillary film and having to use most of it to do an image, um, difficult for some of the companies, especially the smaller companies. And then the cost of the ink being what it is, and I have no idea what that is, but I know it's substantial. And the amount that you consume on a shirt is considerable. Um, those are all factors that come into play. So I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest thing about special effect inks is being in a position where you can say, yeah, we have it. Do you want to buy any of it? Yeah, maybe, how much is it? And of course, you throw out a price and you watch them
Yeah,
take a second thought about it because, the cost is pretty substantial.
I agree. I agree. Yes, you're right.
But, I'm seeing more and more companies go to water-based in the US more than anything else.
Mhm.
Pretty much every company now will do plastisol, of course, but more and more of them are adding water-based as a very definite situation. Company that I work with in Pennsylvania, I guess when I started working with them about 7 years ago or so, they were plastisol. Then they hired me to teach them how to work with water-based. They now have 6 automatics, but one automatic only does water-based. That's the only thing they print on it.
Mhm.
And it's busy all the time. So it was just a learning curve. And then their salespeople getting out and selling water-based versus plastisol.
I see. I see. Yes, you are right. I have seen that too. Even in Canada, that people are moving towards water-based, even though they are trying to learn right now. They are trying to, at least the good part is that they are stepping into this. So yes, it's good, and it's good to see them in this situation
Yeah,
where they can, transit themselves from plastisol to water base.
well, the um, transition from plastisol to water-based is a difficult one. From water-based to plastisol is a very simple operation. Trying to convince people to not walk away from the machine, to if they're going to walk away, they have to clean out the image area. If they're going to go to lunch, they have to move the ink down and cover it, clean it out the screen. Um, it definitely has its challenges. At the same time, um, the effects that it gives are really wonderful at the same time. And so, if you get a handful of guys who are on a machine that really love it, they'll
Yep.
do great with it. If they hate it, they're going to make sure that it doesn't work.
Yes, that's something that we face all around the world. It's the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge.
True. So
Hey,
you have any plans coming here?
huh?
You have any plans visiting Canada?
Not at the moment, but you know,
If
I don't have a whole lot of plans of anything. I just kind of play it by ear. Whatever shows up, boom, I'm
yeah,
there. So
I understand.
and Canada, of course, is easy, although now we need our passports, which is not a problem. But there was a time where we didn't need anything, not for Canada, not for Mexico. Now you need it from both. So
Right.
interesting.
I look forward to seeing you soon then, and I will plan a visit to some of the shows, or if not, if I'm around Denver area, I will drop by and say hello.
If you're
And
around Denver, I'd be surprised there's no shows here, but that's okay.
yeah,
Um,
I was under discussion with a guy from there who was willing to try the inks. I forgot his name. All Ridge Print. I don't know.
company called Wahoo.
Uh, I will check the name and I will message you because at that point we were not ready. And I told him that it's not the right time for us to, be able to supply you the inks, but I will get back to you once we are ready. So
Okay.
I haven't gotten back to him, but I am planning on now. So
Well,
let's
if you do get to Denver, I'd love to see you here. Be nice to have
definitely,
you around.
yes, definitely. I won't leave Denver without saying hi to you.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't know pretty much any of the companies in Denver. I know GSG has opened up in Denver, and Grimco bought out all the other companies or many of the others that were in town and is now the big gun in town.
Mhm.
Uh, Outside of Grimco and GSG, I know there's Wahoo, but I don't
Okay.
know if there's anybody else.
I will have a look. I will check.
Okay. Well,
Thank you for having me. Uh,
thanks for being on. I will definitely set this up on my website so that anybody who's interested in your ink, why don't you give us a rundown on name and address and phone number and email?
yes, definitely. We can be reached at sales@bniinks.com. Our number is 647-580-7470. We are based out of Hamilton and we are shipping out of Hamilton. We are catering the US market, the Canadian market, the Mexican market, wherever it is. We are doing almost everything. We have been in this industry for 30 years, but newly stepping into Canada with the manufacturing. And we look forward to serve you guys.
Terrific. Do you have a website?
Yes, the website is www.bniinks.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Always
much.
fun to have you on. I'm sorry we didn't get a whole lot of activity,
No,
but
that's
that's
all right.
part
It
of the
was good to
deal.
speak to you.
And if there's anything I can do to help out, just give me a holler.
Always, always. And same goes for you.
Terrific.
If there's anything I can do here, let me know.
Terrific. Have a
Thank
good one.
you. You too. Have a good
Bye.
one.